Today marks the last full week of this election campaign. I've said before that this election is a choice between economic recovery with the Conservatives and more borrowing, more debt, higher taxes, and higher prices with the Liberals and NDP. But this election is also about trust, about whether or not we want to reward Justin Trudeau for breaking his promise and calling an unnecessary $600 million election in the middle of a pandemic. Cette élection porte sur la confiance. Est-ce qu'on veut récompenser Justin Trudeau pour avoir brisé sa promesse? Est-ce qu'on veut le récompenser pour avoir déclenché une élection inutile de 600 millions de dollars et au cours d'une quatrième vague de COVID-19? In the last few weeks, Justin Trudeau has not talked about the future of our country. He has not provided a plan for Canada, but instead veered into personal attacks and American-style misleading politics in an election he called for himself only. The differences between Justin Trudeau and myself are stark. I grew up in the suburbs. My neighbors were auto workers. My dad worked for General Motors. When Mr. Trudeau was partying, and we've all seen the photos, I was doing search and rescue missions in the military. Every Canadian has met a Justin Trudeau in their lives. Privileged, entitled, and always looking out for number one. He was looking out for number one when he called this expensive and unnecessary election in the middle of a pandemic. A $600 million power grab. An election that has done nothing to stop the fourth wave. It's only made things worse by taking the government's eye off the ball. That's not leadership. It's self-interest. And it's Justin Trudeau through and through. Where I grew up, you worked hard for everything you had. Even when you didn't have a lot, you always tried to help others. Your character and work ethic would earn the respect of your neighbours. That's my approach to leading Canada's Conservatives. We are here to work hard, to earn your support. We're here to earn your votes. Là où j'ai grandi, on devait travailler fort. On devait gagner sa vie. Même si on n'avait pas grand-chose, on s'entraidait entre voisins et dans la communauté. La confiance, la fierté et le travail bien fait étaient des valeurs importantes. C'est mon approche pour diriger les conservateurs. C'est mon approche pour diriger le pays. On va travailler fort pour gagner votre appui. On est là pour gagner votre vote. In Justin Trudeau's world, he takes you and your votes, your support, for granted. That's why he called an election in the middle of a pandemic. That's why he was more interested in a power grab than evacuating Canadians and our allies from Afghanistan. That's why he hid public health briefings, because they'd look bad for him. That's why he took his eye off the ball as forest fires raged. Instead of spending $600 million on an election, imagine what that money could have done for our hospitals, for mental health, for border security. Imaginez ce que la somme de 600 millions de dollars représente. Cet argent aurait pu servir à autre chose qu'à faire des élections. Un bon gouvernement l'aurait investi dans nos hôpitaux, pour la santé mentale, pour la sécurité à la frontière. Au début de la campagne, on s'attendait à ce que Justin Trudeau ait, au moins, une vision pour le pays. Les Canadiens sont déçus, et avec raison. At the very least, you'd expect that Justin Trudeau would give a clear vision for the country. Some sense that the sacrifice he forced on Canadians would be worth it. Has he? Not at all. He's lunged from one wedge issue to another, dividing Canadians, attacking premiers, blaming others for his shortfalls. Today, I'd planned to talk about maternity and parental leave, about making sure that when parents have children, they get the time they need to adjust to parenthood, to learn and to spend those precious moments with the new members of their family. I wanted to talk about the $1,000 a month that Canada's Conservatives would let parents earn to help them stay connected to the workforce, about how we will expand the Canada Child Benefit to provide expectant parents with payments beginning at the 7th month of pregnancy, rather than at childbirth. Aujourd'hui, je veux parler des congés de maternité et de paternité. On va s'assurer que les nouveaux parents ont le temps de s'adapter, d'apprendre et surtout de passer de bons moments en famille. Un gouvernement conservateur va donner 1 000 $ par mois pour aider les parents à rester connectés au marché du travail. On va aussi améliorer l'allocation canadienne pour enfants. On va donner les prestations aux parents dès les 7e mois de grossesse, pas seulement à la naissance du bébé. And I wanted to talk about all of our ideas in Canada's recovery plan, about the issues that really matter to Canadians. Every day in this campaign, I've stood up and talked about how we could make Canada a better place. I launched Canada's recovery plan on the first full day of this election because I love this country and I want to tackle the challenges we are facing to secure a brighter and better future. That's the election we should be having. That's the discussion that Canada's leaders owe to the country. That's the discussion you deserve in this election. But Justin Trudeau isn't interested in a serious debate about issues, because what matters to him isn't maternity leave, your home, your retirement security, your job. What matters to him is his job. Justin Trudeau ne veut pas avoir des débats sérieux sur les enjeux importants. Tout ce qui compte pour lui, ce ne sont pas les congés de maternité, votre logement, votre sécurité à la retraite ou votre emploi. Tout ce qu'il veut, c'est conserver son poste. That's why he'll say anything to get elected, regardless of the damage it does to our country. That's why he'll promise anything, so long as he thinks it will buy him some votes. That's why he'll threaten anything if he doesn't get his way. Don't believe me? Ask Jody Wilson-Raybould. The SNC-Lavalin scandal shredded Mr. Trudeau's reputation as a feminist, as a proponent of reconciliation, as someone we can trust to know the difference between right and wrong. Over the coming days, we must decide whether or not we want to reward Justin Trudeau for breaking his promise and calling an unnecessary $600 million election in the middle of a pandemic. Au cours des prochains jours, vous allez décider si, oui ou non, vous allez récompenser Justin Trudeau, si vous allez le récompenser pour avoir brisé sa promesse et pour avoir déclenché une élection inutile de $600 million. I didn't ask for this campaign, but nearly every day in this campaign, I've stood up and proposed practical solutions to secure our future and make life better, easier, and more affordable for ordinary people. Friends, I got into politics for one reason. The same reason I served in the Air Force for 12 years. The same reason that in business I volunteered my time for charitable causes. The same reason I ultimately stood for election, to serve my country. Mes chers amis, je fais de la politique pour une seule raison. La même raison pour laquelle j'ai servi dans les forces armées canadiennes pendant 12 ans. La même raison pour laquelle j'ai été bénévole pour des organisations de bienfaisance. La même raison pour laquelle j'ai décidé de faire de la politique. Et c'est servir mon pays. Canadians deserve better than a leader concerned only about his own power. But this is a pattern. Day after day, month after month, year after year. The only thing he and the Liberal Party prioritize is their own survival. More of the same spending and debt, $424 million per day, with more of the same on its way. More of the same corruption, more cover-ups, more lies, more entitlement, more being taken for granted, more of the same. Jour après jour, mois après mois et année après année, la seule chose que Justin Trudeau veut, c'est demeurer en poste. C'est tout. Encore des dépenses et des dettes. Plus de $400 millions par jour. Et rien ne va changer. Toujours la même corruption. Plus de camouflage, plus de mensonges, plus d'arrogance. Toujours la même chose. Justin Trudeau often wants to pretend that this is 2015, that he's not running on his record, but on distant memories from the past. Well, it's not 2015, Mr. Trudeau. I am a new Conservative leader. And the Justin Trudeau of 2015 is not the Justin Trudeau of 2021. In 2015, I disagreed with him, but I could respect him. I could agree when he talked about what unites us rather than divides us. I could understand when he talked about a better future Canada could have. I could appreciate when he talked about healing the country's rifts, not exploiting them. Where is that Justin Trudeau? Where is that guy? What would the Sunny Ways Justin think of the Prime Minister we see today? The one who is clinging to power by dividing the country, fostering fear and division, sowing myth-truths and misinformation wherever he goes. The one who says he's a feminist, but pressured a woman to lie to cover up his corruption. The one who preaches honesty and transparency while funneling cash to Liberal insiders. The one who talks about reconciliation while suing Indigenous children. The one who talks about the environment while pumping record emissions into the air. The one who says one thing and then immediately does the opposite. I'd say he's all talk and no action, but this is worse. A person so blinded by his own ambition that he can't see the rot in his own party. A man who's not a feminist, not an environmentalist, not a public servant. A man who's focused solely and squarely on himself. Quelle serait l'opinion de Justin Trudeau de 2015 s'il rencontrait le Premier ministre aujourd'hui? Celui qui s'accroche au pouvoir en divisant le pays. Celui qui alimente la peur et la division. L'homme qui se dit féministe, mais qui a obligé une femme à mentir pour camoufler ses scandales. L'homme qui parle d'honnêteté et de transparence, mais qui donne de l'argent à ses amis. L'homme qui parle de réconciliation, mais qui traîne des enfants autochtones en justice. L'homme qui parle d'environnement, mais qui émet des émissions records. L'homme qui dit une chose, mais qui fait le contraire. On peut dire qu'il parle pour ne rien dire, mais c'est pire que ça. Il est toujours là par sa propre ambition. Il ne voit même pas le problème dans son propre parti. Cet homme n'est pas féministe, environnementaliste ou au service des Canadiens. Cet homme ne pense qu'à lui et à lui seul. I've never pretended to be something I'm not. What you see is what you get. I've said this many times. I'm not a celebrity. I'm in politics for one reason, public service, to get things done, to make this country better. That's why I created Canada's Recovery Plan. You know, Justin Trudeau loves to talk about leadership, but leadership is about delivering. It's about getting things done. It's about service above self in the country's best interests. Day after day, hour after hour, month after month, it's about standing up, being honest, treating Canadians with the respect they deserve. And what's Mr. Trudeau's record? $424 million being borrowed every day. More spending, more borrowing, more debt, multiple ethical investigations and cover-ups, soaring prices for houses, for food, for lumber, for childcare. 6 years. 6 years of inaction, of empty promises, of doing the bare minimum and then asking Canadians to be thankful that he even tried. 6 years of ignoring the fact that life is getting harder from coast to coast. 6 years of promising everything and delivering nothing but more debt and nothing to show for it. 6 years of underfunding our healthcare system. 6 years of ruining our economy so we can't afford the doctors, the nurses, and our healthcare professionals. 6 years of show. 6 years of inaction. 6 years of letting Canadians down. Again and again and again. And you'd think an election would at least focus his mind. But no. This is a Prime Minister who, as costs soared, said he doesn't think about monetary policy. A Prime Minister who said that the economy was bouncing back, quote, very strongly, the same day we got confirmation that it was actually shrinking. A Prime Minister who will say anything to win. So here is my pledge. Our country desperately needs a change. One party alone has put out a clear, honest plan for recovery, an ambitious vision for our country's recovery. That's Canada's Conservatives and Canada's recovery plan. Voici mes engagements. Le Canada a besoin d'un changement. Une seule partie a un plan pour la relance. Une seule partie a une vision pour mettre notre pays sur les rails. Ce sont les conservateurs et le plan de rétablissement du Canada. My promise to Canadians, we have a plan, Canada's recovery plan, to recover 1 million jobs, to clean up the mess and corruption in Ottawa, to deliver a new mental health action plan, to dedicate nearly $60 billion more to public health care, to balance the budget, to build 1 million more homes, and hundreds more ideas to make Canada's future better and brighter. For Canadians, the choice is clear. Do we reward Mr. Trudeau for calling an unnecessary $600 million election in the middle of a pandemic? Make no mistake, a vote for anyone other than Canada's Conservatives is a vote for more of the same from Mr. Trudeau. More of the same being taken for granted. More corruption, more spending, more debt, more lies. Don't fall for the politics of fear. Pour les Canadiens, le choix est clair. Est-ce qu'on va récompenser M. Trudeau? Est-ce qu'on va le récompenser pour avoir déclenché une élection inutile de 600 millions de dollars? Mais attention, un vote pour notre parti est un vote pour la même chose. C'est un vote pour plus de corruption, plus de dépenses, plus de dettes et plus de mensonges. Ne pliez pas devant la politique de la peur. Justin Trudeau started this election, but you can finish it. Send him a message. Tell him what you think about a pandemic election. You can vote for a better future. We as a country can do better. We can be a country with better politics, with incomes that are going up, costs that are going down, employment going up, strife and disunity going down. Better health care, less homelessness, more affordable child care, better services, more homes, more accountability, more mental health services. A healthier, wealthier, happier Canada is within our reach. These are real and tangible things that a government can deliver if it keeps its eye on the ball and focuses on you. If it focuses on action rather than words. If it puts the national interest first. I love this country, and I know you do too. Our best days are on the horizon, but we desperately need unity and a way forward. J'aime ce pays. Je sais que vous l'aimez aussi. Le meilleur nous attend, mais on a besoin d'unité et d'une voix pour agir pour l'avenir. So vote for Canada. Vote for a brighter future. Vote to secure the future, and vote Conservative. Je vous remercie. Thank you very much.